Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Road Series here. We're here to kick off Season 2 of 2026 with St. Petersburg, a brand new track here on the iRacing service. And what is new, and what is old is new, and everything's new here in Indy NXT competition. Sophie, what are we in for here on the streets of St. Petersburg?
Well, I think we're going to be in for a little bit of chaos, but also some incredible driving. The new season, new track, a lot of new faces. There's definitely some of the familiar faces like the Andre Castro, Tequila, Frank DeWin. There's also a lot of new people trying their hand at this IL-15, Jacob. So I expect anything can happen, but this is a very tricky track, particularly in that middle sector.
Yeah, certainly a tough track to get around as we're kind of watching the sights and sounds here with our scenic camera angles here. Drivers are taken to the track for qualifying here around the 1.88 mile St. Petersburg Grand Prix course. And we'll hop out there with one Jarrett Corey, reigning series champion. He's made the jump over to the Rogue Racing roster here for this season. We'll hop out with him as he navigates the streets, getting up to speed here. Get the timing tower up on display so we can get an idea of where the times fall here.
Yeah, and it's right through this section here that he is just going through now, where you see that University of South Florida and the Ticket Clinic signs. Those two corners are particularly tricky because of the crown in the road, Jacob. It's so easy because that whole section is just... It's like a slower speed version of Thunder Valley at Mid-Ohio, and then you also have the road crowning on top of it. So it's a complex braking zone, even if the track was perfectly flat and smooth. And then when you add in those bumps, you add in that crown, it's so easy to make a mistake there.
Yeah, we'll actually ride on board with Jarrett as he gets onto his first of two flying laps here. We're expecting pole times to be in a high 1:04. If the precedent so far this week is yet to anything to go by, that's going to be likely in line with what we see from drivers here tonight. Obviously, that corner complex is one that's caught out a number of drivers, and we cited it in our track guide here on the channel this week, is that you very much want to back those corners up and kind of let the car roll itself through there more or less, and really only get back onto the power once you're lined up straight heading off turn number 9.
Yes, we see him navigating tricky turn 8, tricky turn 9 here. That corner is so deceptively tight. It's so easy to accidentally bang a wheel on the wall here. And in qualifying, if you get even a 0x contact, that's enough to invalidate your lap time. And so you need to be extremely careful. I was very tiptoeing while I was qualifying for the IndyCar race earlier tonight. So it's just so critical to really get a time on the board while also still pushing. Currently, it is Gregory Carr on top. But we'll see where Jarrett Corey, yes, he goes to the top, a 1:050. We expect those times to tumble. Takes a little bit of time to get the tires up to temperature. Usually the second flying lap is the faster flying lap.
Yeah, we saw Miller shoot to the top of the pylon to start, then Rafael Lippi, the winner from Mexico City last season. We've got Gregory Kohler, new face in the Indy NXT Road Series, and obviously reigning series champ Jarrett Corey currently sits provisionally on the pole as we watch him navigate his second flyer here. Maybe a little bit of a bobble off turn 9 there for him, but just given the amount that these tires kind of pick up over the course of the first couple laps of running, I would not be surprised to see this lap just a little bit faster than the first time around.
For sure, Jacob, and again, you also have to factor in the conditions. The track is same as it was in Indy Open, 44 degrees Celsius. That's roughly 112 Fahrenheit, so mildly toasty track, but with moderate rubber usage. And so the more rubber you see there, the more it's going to slip and slide around, as Jarrett Corey managed to wrangle that thing. Currently P2, Jameson Rodriguez pips him to pole. Actually, no. Sorry. Let me see who got the pole. Sorry, Race Labs. Rafael Lippi? No, yes, Jameson Rodriguez gets the pole with a 1:046. Sorry, Race Labs was being very interesting. And just pips Jarrett Corey by 0.2.
Yeah, we got a couple cars still left to take time. The likes of Tequila and Frisky Frankie Frank Wynn. He's in the field tonight. Going to be interesting to see what kind of times they lay down. Of course, we've got podium finishers from last season and the likes of Giovanni Blackerby. We've got the winner of Victor Couto, who we've discovered is a real-world USF Juniors driver, so he's been taken to the real circuits in those machines. Good to see him back out here following some wins in the inaugural season at the likes of Lime Rock Park. And we've got ourselves quite the lineup top to bottom. You know, you've got one of the Indy NXT Oval Series champions and Indy Kirchenbauer in here. Isabel Matthews is another stout open-wheel driver. Alex Miller is making another return in the series following one of his first appearances at Adelaide last season. It's hard to find somebody in this field that's not capable of winning a race here, and we've got ourselves quite the tight field up at the top of the pylon under that 1:05 bracket.
Yes, currently we see Andre Castro, I believe, working his final flying lap, I believe. So there definitely is still some people who could possibly play a spoiler to the current front row.
We're still waiting for qualifying to conclude here. Frankie set a time down of a 1:06.30. That's going to put him down as low as 17th here. Taikila still yet left to get a time here. He's getting on to his second lap now.
Yeah, Taikila, very capable driver, drives all sorts of machinery. So he is a very skilled driver. As we see him currently navigating that 5, 6, 7, 8 complex. It's real close to this wall there, using all of the track available to him to try and eke out lap time. About 1:20 left in the session, Jacob, so he's got the time to set the... He doesn't have to worry about whether or not he's going to run out of time. Just focus on the driving.
Hey, here he comes to navigate the final hairpin for what will be the final lap of qualifying here. We'll see if he's able to get a time on the board. Bit of a bobble there off the corner for driver the 20 machine this evening. He'll head down the front straight and hopefully get a time down the board here. Looks like he will. Put him 18th as it stands, and we'll run you through the starting lineup here for the first round of 12 here in Season 2 of the Indy NXT Road Series. Waiting for a couple cars to get to the grid before we start running down that starting lineup. We'll actually grab to the pace car here. Start running you through it. Will be Jameson Rodriguez on the pole with a 1:04.646. Alongside him will be reigning series champ Jarrett Corey, making his Indy NXT Road Series debut on the Road Racing roster. Andre Castro will line up in the third spot, the winner from Road America last season. We'll get him into the picture here. Got Gregory Kohler making, I believe, his series debut here in the fourth spot ahead of Mexico City winner Rafael Lippi, who will line up in the fifth spot. Alexander Miller will line up sixth. Liam Seitz will be seventh. Victor Couto, the winner from Lime Rock Park in the inaugural season, will be eighth. Isabel Matthews will line up ninth alongside Eric Dallara IL-15. Got Giovanni Blackerby, podium finisher multiple times last season at the likes of Fuji and Adelaide. Andrew Lanning will line up 12th ahead of Jared Wakefield and Chris Wetz. Indy Kirchenbauer will line up 15th alongside Tobaris Nara. You got Frisky Frankie Frank Wynn lining up 17th alongside Road Racing's Ty Keela in the 18th spot. Lilac Zier for TMR will line up in 19th. 20th will be David Montejuano. We've seen him before. He's back here once again. And rounding out the 21-car field tonight will be none other than William Boisvert. 4,000 on the strength of field tonight. So we've got ourselves quite the field to get through here. And we'll get to that all-important pace lap here as drivers are looking to get underway here from St. Petersburg. We're navigating down towards the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 complex. Those corners come at you very, very quick here. Only 14 of them to tackle, but so many of them are compacted up into this section of the track that we're watching the drivers navigate through now.
Yes, it's so easy to lose the car on these cold tires. So you're going to see them kind of weaving, trying to keep their tires clean, trying to brake, put some heat in the brakes so they can try and get the most on lap 1. Lap 1's first laps here tend to be chaotic, but also pretty vital for grabbing positions, as there's 21 cars in this field. So if you're someone starting in the back like a Frank Nguyen, a Ty Keela, there's definitely a position to go. There's definitely an opportunity to move to the front.
Yeah, one thing we're going to not see is quite the amount of push-to-pass usage throughout this race. We've had a dramatic reduction in the amount that the drivers have available to them, going from 150 down to just 65 seconds here for the entire race distance. So that'll be a factor that'll play into maybe just how often we see drivers getting on the button trying to mount those passes, particularly off into turn number 1. We're rounding the final corner here. Jameson Rodriguez will get control of the field once the pace car pulls off. It'll do so now. When does Jameson opt to go? There he goes.
Green flag is in the air. Barney waves the field. Indy NXT competition on road is underway. We're 4 wide into turn number 1. Some big sends by Alex Miller there. But he gets shuffled back in the pack here. Oh, this is tight.
Rodriguez is around.
Rodriguez is around. Big trouble for the pole sitter.
Suspected he might have got onto the accelerator just a little too hard there on the cold tires. That opening sector so tricky with these cars as you kind of bounce your way around from left to right to left to right so constantly. Very hard to keep the car under wraps. That'll put Jarrett Corey to the point of the field as Gregory Kohler's made his way around Andre Castro for the 2nd spot. Victor Couto up to 4th. Lippi hangs on in the 5th spot. And we're in for quite ourselves a spread field following that incident for the pole sitter and Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, it's so easy to do on cold tires. That 2-3 section is so difficult. You got to modulate your throttle, and it's so easy to make a miscalculation on those cold tires. Currently up at front, it is Rogue Racing's Jarrett Corey, followed by Gregory Kohler, and then Andre Castro, who said Victor Couto hangs on to 4th, and then Rafael Lippi is in 5th.
I'll actually hop on board with Couto kind of at the end of the lead train here as he navigates the streets here. Oh!
Oh, he goes up in the wall! Couto's in the wall!
Yeah, we just hopped on board with him and he goes straight.
He can't turn the car, he's getting damage, he ejects. This is the thing about these streets. Yes, this is the thing about these street circuits. You can be as fast as anyone. You can be as fast as Jarrett Corey. You could be as fast as Rafael Lippi or Gregory Kohler. You can be that quick, but can you keep the car on the track? Can you prevent yourself from making those kinds of mistakes? And unfortunately for Rodriguez, for Couto, they could not.
Yeah, Corey will go purple that time by with a 105.016. So he'll be getting closer to that 104 bracket that we're expecting to see even hit the race here, as the qualifying fuel load is the same as it is in the race.
Oh! Sorry, Jacob. Currently, Gregory Kohler has his hands full of Andre Castro, and Kohler caught the wall on 3. That is why I made that ooh noise. As I went back to double check if I saw what I thought I saw, Kohler struggling under the pressure from Andre Castro.
Yeah, so we've got two drivers out of the going already in the likes of Victor Couto and pole sitter Jameson Rodriguez, as Kohler's under fire from Andre Castro for the 2nd spot. Now, if Castro can get by Kohler, this would not be the first time we've seen a battle between the likes of Jarrett Corey and Andre Castro. Obviously, we saw that in the opening round from last season at Road America, as Castro will go purple that time with a 104.722, just a little bit faster than Corey ahead. But he's got to get through Gregory Kohler to get there.
Yes, and Kohler manages to navigate safely this time. Has a good run through there.
Let's actually hop back to kind of the hornet's nest of the field here that's lining up behind Isabel Matthews. She rides along in ninth just behind the likes of Andrew Lanning. She's got Jared Wakefield, Giovanni Blackerby behind her alongside the likes of Tobias Nara and Frank Wynn, all the way down to Indy Kirchenbauer, that red car all the way at the back of your shot there. Seems to be where most of the cars are, and it's just so difficult to make passes around here that they don't really have a choice but to kind of follow the leader here.
Yeah, so we see a big send there from Tobias Nara trying to get underneath Giovanni Blackerby. Blackerby is no slouch in these machineries. As you mentioned earlier, has finished on the podium. Nara looks deep, sends it in on Blackerby. Move done by Nara. And now he is going to set his sights on the likes of Jarrett Wakefield.
Oh, he locks up, goes deep. Nara will have to J-turn it.
Commentators curse once again.
Yeah, we'll move back.
And back at the front of the field, Kohler has a reprieve from Castro, but also has managed to catch up and put a little bit of pressure on Jarrett Corey. Now, as we have seen, getting around is much more difficult than catching someone here. There's not a real long straightaway, not a place to really build a run. You got to capitalize on a mistake, can be a little opportunistic. So we'll see what Kohler, what Castro have for Corey.
Yeah, we'll get it updated to gaps on screen. It's about a second between Kohler and Corey and another second between Castro and Kohler. So they've kind of spread evenly at the front of the field here. It's about another 3.5 seconds behind Castro until you get to Rafael Lippi running in the fourth spot. And I think the big thing we're going to kind of see here is who's able to play the game of inches to a T, maybe get caught into the draft window of a car ahead and make a move down that front straightaway.
Yes, and right now there is a battle over the last spot in the top 5 between Liam Seitz and Alex Miller. Miller currently hauling the mail, trying to get around Seitz there. And then he has Eric Dallara, not too far behind. Dallara, though, having Andrew Lanning all in his mirrors, followed by the aforementioned Isabel Matthews.
Yeah, that gap starting to maybe build between Lanning and Matthews now, as Matthews lingers about a little under a second, depending on where you catch him on the track there. And this midfield running is where we're going to see the bulk of the cars navigating very close together. Obviously not a ton of time difference between the likes of, say, Liam Seitz here at the front of this train down to Giovanni Blackerby. You know, that last time by, the difference in lap time was only 0.2 of a second, so that's not a ton of time to really gain or lose, but it has such a big impact as to how the entire field has to navigate around this track.
Yes, it's one of the things I have found from driving the IndyCar here is it's really easy to just make a small little mistake that just costs you a little bit of time, maybe braking a little bit too early, being a little bit more conservative with the throttle, not hitting the line properly through that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 complex. It's just all of those little things add up, and it's just really difficult to get an advantage over anyone unless if you do make a mistake to try and recover.
Now, if we run through the running order as it stands, you got Jarrett Corey leading Gregory Kohler ahead of Andre Castro in that number 2 Guinness machine. There he is. You go back to 4th spot in Rafael Lippi, our 1 car here tonight with 6,285 on the iRating, leading the field strong. You got Liam Seitz down in the 5th spot in the 15. Alex Miller in 6th. That rainbow, very brightly colored car for Miller. Eric Dallariva in the 8 machine. He runs along in 7th. You got Andrew Lanning, Isabel Matthews, Jared Wakefield, Giovanni Blackerby, Frank Wynn, Indy Kirchenbauer rounding out the top 13. Then you have to go back all the way to Chris Wetz down in 14th. Lilac Zier for Taylor Mills Racing runs along in 15th. William Boysford, Tobias Nara, saw him go off doing a lock-up at turn number 8. Or that might have been 4, rather. But Ty Keela's down in 18th spot, and then David Montajuano rounding out the last of the runners, I believe in a Get Good Racing livery. He's got a right side pod missing. That's likely due to contact earlier on in this race. We'll hop back towards kind of that battle for the 5th spot as it seems to be getting closer together here as Miller's still looking to hunt down seats.
Yes, another thing I want to highlight real quick here. Frank DeWin has now gotten around Giovanni Blackerby. Move Frank Nguyen up to 11th. He has moved up 6 spots on the day. That is the most of anybody currently.
Yeah, he'll be looking to hunt down Jared Wakefield for the last spot inside the top 10. That's about 3/4 of a second to a full second up the road ahead of him. See Miller try to close in through the hairpin here, head down the runway towards turn number 1.
He is not on the button, just kind of trying to use the draft, trying to maintain anything here. Last time around, he was about a 10th faster than Liam Seats. It's so difficult to get a run and get around people here as he kind of closes the distance through that first sector. It's really difficult to nail that section and really get a good run as he heads off into that tricky 5, 6, 7, 8 complex.
Yeah, we're kind of looking at push-to-pass numbers. Rafael Lippi's used kind of the most of it of our front runners. He sits on 36 seconds. Miller's on 59 of his 65. Lanning has yet to use the button at all. He runs along in 8th, so drivers are using the push-to-pass much more sparingly as we see Miller use a little bit of it to try to get a run, heading down towards the left-hander here as they work through the chicane now in 11 and 12. He's much closer than he was that last time by. Can he maybe make something happen here off into turn number 1?
Well, what he did there is he took a wider entry, so if he's plays his cards right, unfortunately he bobbles on the exit and kind of loses that big run. What I was going to say with him opening it wide and possibly cursed him was he was going to be able to take a more gentle arc through there, carry a little bit more speed, and maybe get a better run onto the straightaway. But he's going to have to reset and rebuild in order to get around Liam Seats for that 5th place spot.
And one thing I'm starting to see is the pace fall off for cars at the front. Obviously, we've got a pretty decent track temperature out on the course now down to 109 as we've got the weather graphic on the screen now. About a half second slower than the fastest laps of their races so far. Jared Corey last time by with a 105.254. His best lap tonight, a 104.814. So certainly starting to see those tires maybe start to fall away under the pressures here of the very rough track here we have in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, this track is very rough on tires for a street circuit. Not quite as rough as, say, a Detroit, but it's still very rough on the tires. These Firestones will be begging for mercy as we are currently working lap 11 out of 19, so they've got 8 more turns to go.
Right.
8 more times around this circuit, not turns.
We'll ride on board with Frank Wynn as he rides along in 11th. He's caught the back of Jared Wakefield for that 10th spot. You can see Wakefield just ahead here, and then Isabel Matthews a little ways down the road here ahead of Mr. Wynn. They're navigating that 8, 4, 5, 8, whatever, however many numbered corners we got all the way to turn 9 here. Here's turn 8. And then onto that straightaway after turn 9.
Yeah, Wakefield went a little defensive into the passing zone there at 4, trying to do everything he can to keep Frank Nguyen behind him. That last time by, Nguyen was quicker. Nguyen gets a good run off the corner. Can it be enough into turn number 1?
Wakefield stays on the button for a good portion of the straightaway. That's kind of playing into the strategy here. Frank Wynn sitting on 39 seconds of push to pass to Jared's 29. So he's got about a 10-second advantage on that push to pass, and that may come in crucial come the last couple laps here, where if Frankie can get the run, Wakefield's going to have not as many tools to defend with should he be out of that push to pass.
Yes, but the one thing that is working a bit in Wakefield's favor here is the fact that these straightaways aren't very long, so it's not like you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage by not having the push to pass. And keep in mind, the straightaway that we're currently on into turn number 10 has that massive kink in it that is really only one car wide. So it's really difficult to get a move done into turn 10. So really, functionally, it's only that front straightaway and turn 4 that you really got to worry about. As we see Wynn, again, taking that wide entry, trying to carry as much momentum out of that corner. Wakefield gets loose, so does Wynn, who is going to have the advantage down the straightaway as Wakefield goes defensive into turn number 1, swings back onto the racing line.
Yeah, we're starting to see those tires really get themselves in trouble here. You know, last time by about a half second again for both drivers. Wakefield even almost a full second slower than his fastest lap tonight. So it's starting to show that these tires are going to wear very, very quickly around the streets here in St. Petersburg in these Indy NXT machines.
Yes, and keep in mind, these cars, even though they have an inline-four, they're quite torquey, as you know, Jacob. So it's really putting a strain on those rear tires, and that's what we saw there with that moment coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, we'll see that once again on display as we head through the rest of the season here, but we want to cover kind of the rest of what's going on P1 the rest of this week here. Tomorrow night, it's St. Patrick's Day. The IndyCar Oval Series will be taking on Homestead Miami for their opening round at 8:15 Eastern Time. We'll follow that up with Indy NXT Oval Series competition from Motegi at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Frank Wynn's going to look to the inside here of Wakefield into turn number 1. Not quite alongside enough, but they'll be side by side almost into 2 and 3. Wynn's going to back out of it. Wakefield's going to continue on ahead. We move off into Wednesday night. Me and Sophie will be back for the Formula Super Series in their 5th round of their 4th season. 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll be taking on the Circuit Magny Cours in France. Thursday night, Mark Murphy on the call for the AMA Grand National Series alongside Caleb Brashear. That'll take place from Darlington, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday night. Friday night, the Truck Series, same time, same track. And then Saturday, we'll have the IndyCar iRacing Series at 2 p.m. Eastern Time from the streets of St. Petersburg. 100 laps there. And then Sunday night.
Isabel Matthews is... Oh, sorry. Andrew Lanning is around. Andrew Lanning is around. No damage, it looks like, for him, but he lost it off Alpha Turn 10, and the whole field has gotten by him pretty much.
Yeah, he's heading down into that left-hander at the end of the kind of the back straightaway here from St. Petersburg. He's going to get onto the brakes, turn into the corner here, and he's maybe going to grab the curb, maybe just a little, and he's going to go around. Maybe just kept too much wheel in it as he navigated that left-hander here. He'll slide to a stop, kind of in a parking stall, more or less, and you'll see the likes of Isabel Matthews, Jared Wakefield, and Frank Wynn have to dodge out of the way as he rolls there. Good job on the field for avoiding him. Cindy Kirchenbauer will work his way through there as well. Tough break for the driver of the 10. He'll fall to 13.
Yes, and while that was going on, Alex Miller has been all over the gearbox of Liam Seats, doing everything he can to try and get around that number 15 machine, trying to secure that last spot in the top 5. Seems to have backed off a little bit, given a little bit of reprieve to Seats, but it was looking dicey for that last lap, Jacob.
Yeah, it looks like Miller had a bit of a heave-ho with Seats at a point in time. It's going to give him an opportunity maybe to regather some things over these last couple laps, mount the charge back by Seats for that last spot in the top 5. But to round out the week, the Votive Racing League will take on the Chicagoland Speedway, 8 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday night. We'll be back next week, Monday night, from Barber for both the IndyCar Open Series and the Indy NXT Road Series. And that'll be another new, at least new in scan. Obviously, Barber's been around a good long while in the iRacing service, but it'll be another new ish track here to start off the season in Indy NXT Road Series competition.
Yes, back up at the front is still Jarrett Corey, your leader, with Gregory Kohler in second place.
Oh, Matthews has gone around.
Oh, what a tough break for Matthews.
Get back and see what happened to her. It looks like it's going to be the same corner as the last time by with Manning. Maybe just grab too much on the brake because she's around in a straight line, will fly off into the runoff. Manages not to hit anything, but that'll drop her down to 12th, just ahead of Andrew Lanning, who made it a spin for him that last time by. You see Blackerby having to take evasive action off the corner there as Matthews gets back underway. But back to that front of the field, you've got Corey leading Kohler by now a second and a half, as Kohler's been struggling these last couple laps. Andre Castro's out of the picture here at the front, some 4 seconds back from Jarrett. We've got 2 laps to go here as we cross the start-finish line. Oh, white flag in the air.
Yes, it is the white flag lap here for Jarrett Corey. Still has to be, he has Gregory Kohler keeping him honest, but he has been cool as a cucumber, just driving around what I believe is actually his home track, Jacob.
Yes, he is a St. Petersburg native, or at least relative to the area. Christian Hillgard, the winner from here earlier tonight in the IndyCar Open Series, is asking, this one isn't a walk in the park for Corey. As we watch Corey kind of power slide his way through turn number 8 there, he's still got to make it around this track one final time, but this is going to be one of the closer margins of victory that we've seen Corey been a part of in the last couple of months here in Indy NXT Road Series competition. He'll round turn number 10, head through the chicane of 11 and 12, get towards that hairpin. And the reigning series champ will navigate the final couple of corners here, work his way down the front straightaway to win yet another race here in Indy NXT Road Series competition, the first at St. Petersburg.
Yes, new season, but same winner. Jarrett Corey takes the checkered flag for Rogue Racing. Gregory Kohler puts on a valiant effort for P2, followed by Andre Castro and Rafael Lippi. Liam Seitz holds on to 5th place. Alex Miller comes home 6th. Eric De La Riva comes home in 7th. Then we have Frisky Frankie Frank to win, jumping up from 17th to 8th, followed by Jarrett Wakefield of TMR in 9th. Andy Kirchenbauer from Votive in 10th. Giovanni Blackerby comes home 11th. Isabella Matthews comes home in 12th. Andrew Lanning recovers from his spin to P13. Ty Keela should be rounding the line now with Lilac Zier just on his rear gearbox there. That's going to be a photo finish to the line there. So it'll be Ty Keela in 14th, Lilac Zier in 15th. William Boisovert comes home in 16th. And then first car's lap down would be David Monaho, as well as Tobias Nara, Quiswetz, and of course the retirements of Victor Couto and Jameson Rodriguez. What a race we witnessed here, Jacob.
Yeah, early attrition took out some strong competitors in the likes of Victor Couto and pole sitter Jameson Rodriguez. Never really got to see what Jameson had to offer in his debut here in the Indy NXT Road Series top split broadcasts here on P1. But we'll get some familiar names up on in the booth with the likes of Andre Castro and Jarrett Corey. See if we can maybe get Gregory Kohler on in here too if he's interested, or he is aware of us doing these broadcasts. We'll get the Discord link into the stream chat here in case he's watching.
Yes, and while we are waiting for our podium finishers to line up for their interviews, once again, what an incredible display here from Jarrett Corey, our winner tonight. But again, I want to give a big shout out to Frank DeWin, climbing up 9 places from his 17th place starting spot. Wow, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. 9 positions. That is the biggest mover on the night for the Canadian Frisky Frankie. Sure, that will be a popular stream to be watching right now. I'm sure that was a great show.
Yeah, Frankie, no stranger to charging his way through the field. We most notably saw it at Watkins Glen last season. Get Andre Castro's car up on the screen here briefly. We've got Jarrett Corey waiting patiently as always. Start with Mr. Castro here. He'll finish third, and another strong performance from him here in the Indy NXT Road Series. That Guinness car has made the rounds a number of times here. Good to see it back here on Monday night for St. Petersburg. Move up to Gregory Kohler in the second spot. He put on a strong debut performance here at St. Pete. And, of course, local area legend, the king of Goatsville, as we've coined him, Jarrett Corey. We'll get to talk to him shortly here. See if we can get a closer shot there of that. We're properly debuting the Rogue Racing IL-15 liveries. Jarrett's got a very nice golden black one here. Wind the tape back just a little bit and get him on up here and see what he has to say following a hometown win for him. Jarrett Corey, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
Yep.
Well, you didn't start on the pole, but you finished on the top step of the podium once again here in Indy NXT Road Series competition. Walk us through this race around the very tricky streets of St. Pete.
Yeah, it's just trying to keep the car underneath you. I guess the rear end feels really light around this track. So, I mean, I feel like I'm wrestling it a lot more than I was with the IR-18 a couple hours ago. So, I got helped out big time actually by the 6th spinning from the lead, because otherwise I probably would have dropped to like 3rd or 4th. But it kind of forced Andre to check up and allowed me to basically just control a race from there. I mean, Gregory, I was looking at my relative a lot more than maybe I would have liked to. Certainly a lot more than I was at Adelaide, but just trying to maintain that gap and manage my push to pass as well, because we got a lot less of that this season than we had last season.
Yeah, it was certainly beneficial for you as you kind of got stuck on the outside of the battles behind Jameson in the opening couple of corners. Obviously, him spinning forced those cars you were battling with to maybe back out of it, lift a little bit, and let you back into line, and ultimately kind of put you in position to capitalize on being able to control this race. Kind of walk us through kind of the things you were doing around here with just how tricky it was to keep the car under wraps. Obviously, pace slowed. The tires seemed to fall away very, very quickly here. Kind of what were you doing inside the car as each and every lap seemed to just take these tires and start really grinding them down?
Yeah, just being really smooth, or at least as smooth as I could. I mean, I had more wheel spin out of like the final corner, for example, than I would have liked, honestly. I mean, I can't really tell my tire wear was because I did those burnouts after, but I mean, based off practice, like maybe close to 10% more in the rear. So, yeah, I mean, it's just trying to not overdo it, really, because this car doesn't like that. And yeah.
Yeah, tire wear has always been kind of a big thing. Particularly, we've seen it on the ovals, especially with that rear tire wear causing some grief late in those races as well. Sophie, what do you got for Jarrett tonight?
Well, Jarrett, obviously you mentioned the tire wear. Kind of hard to get data after you burn it down, but have noticed that this week track temperatures much higher than what we've traditionally seen on the Indy NXT side of things. So how was the car kind of developing over the course of the stint? Because it seemed everyone was struggling towards the end there. We saw some spins, the likes of Isabel Matthews and Andrew Lanning in turn 10. So were you at all getting nervous, struggling with the car to get the power down towards the end?
Yeah, I was a little nervous, but I knew I had like at least a little bit of margin to play with in terms of just focusing on not trying to push it too hard. I mean, you mentioned the track temps. That caught like anyone who practiced IIS, and I mean for the full year next series as well, out, because I was lazy and did that because the track temps were quite a bit hotter. I mean, I think like 15 degrees, because I think they were similar for IIS and the next. So The track did get cooler as the race went on, but so did the tires. The tires wore, so it was definitely getting harder. The tires were wearing more when the track temp was coming down. I'm hoping for the full distance race it'll be a bit easier of cooler temps and hopefully being able to make some setup adjustments to help out with that.
Yeah, certainly tough to navigate changing conditions, especially when you maybe weren't prepared for it to be quite so hot, but you tackled it better than anybody here tonight, Jarrett. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to shout out, floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Rogue Racing, because for picking me up after leaving Luke Mansky. It's great to be able to just go straight into being in a new team, not really having to wait, and then for IndyCar as well, being able to work with people. T1 Broadcasting as well for putting this on, and yeah, that's kind of it for me.
Well, thank you for joining us here once again, Jarrett. We'll catch you whenever we catch you next. Obviously, we're going back to Barber Motorsports Park next week, when I'm sure you want to pick up a bit of a revenge tour on following the inaugural appearance we had in a couple seasons.
Yep, I'll see you there, and I mean, for the double again with the IR18, so yep.
Good to have you, Jarrett. Go celebrate tonight.
Yep, see ya.
Well, actually, I saw Gregory Kohler in the waiting for interview at some point. Not sure if he would like to make it on back in here. We'd certainly love to have you on up here if you're still tuned in. Get your car up on the screen for you and kind of wait in the meantime. But you know, Sophie, this was certainly a race that we were expecting to be difficult, just given the nature of this track. But I think the weather conditions and just kind of how the field spread itself out following that early attrition with the likes of Victor Couto and Jameson Rodriguez really put on full display just how hard this track can be in the right conditions.
Yes, I was predicting a much more hectic race, but other than the opening lap drama, fell very much into line. There obviously was those spins, but we saw a lot of close battling as well, Jacob. This was a top-notch race that we had from the likes of Liam Seitz and Alex Miller going toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano for lap after lap for that last top 5 spot. So that quite the race, as I do believe we have Gregory Kohler has lined himself up for an interview now, Jacob.
Yeah, we'll see what Gregory has to say following his strong debut performance here. Gregory, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting, you got us?
Hey, boys.
How's it going? Well, it was a strong run for you here, and I believe what's the first time we've seen you here on the broadcast for the Indy NXT Road Series. Kind of walk us through the very tricky race you encountered here from St. Petersburg.
Yeah, first of all, my phone died. That's why I had to leave the Discord, or that's why it kicked me out. So yeah, I saw that you guys are doing the broadcasted races like 5 days ago, and I thought it's a good idea to maybe try out one race, and it went very well. I have to say I got kind of lucky at the start with the crash in front. But it was kind of good to recover from my bad qualifying lap. I had I made a big mistake in the last corner, in the last sector. But yeah, hunting down Curie was very fun, and I hope I can give him a good fight this season.
Yeah, certainly been the class of the field for the last good while with Jarrett Corey. Obviously, that crash early on kind of forced a number of cars to kind of funnel into a line to try to avoid the stopped machine of Mr. Rodriguez. Kind of walk us through what you had to maybe rethink once the dust settled there, especially when the field started to spread out on worn-out tires.
So I felt my tires dropped off very early, and I felt the rear being kind of slippery a lot. And even after seeing this crash, I was like, just keep it out of the walls, like don't crash. And yeah, I try to keep it on track while still giving it everything to get closer to Curie. And yeah, this crash at the start was kind of a wake-up call that, yeah, if you make a mistake here, you're out of the race.
Yeah, costly mistakes that compound very heavily at a very tricky track here on the streets of St. Petersburg. Sophie, what do you got for Gregory tonight?
Well, Gregory, we saw early on in the race, it looked like Andre Castro was really giving you a hard time. How difficult was it to, in those laps, defend from someone here, given that the passing opportunities are so minimal, given the short straightaways that are present here at St. Petersburg?
I saw that they changed the amount of deployment of push to pass this season. So when I saw him hunt me down, I tried everything to use as least as possible to still have enough for the late stages of the race. But when he got close to like half a second behind me, I was really pushing it and using a lot. And that's what kind of made it hard for me to catch up in the middle of the race, when I got a big of a good gap that I was able to manage behind. But it just wasn't enough to catch up ahead.
Well, you maintained the position that you needed to get up on the podium here, Gregory. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody want to shout out? Floor is yours.
Shout out to my friends.
Well, we'll certainly shout out your friends as well. Hopefully we'll keep catching you week in and week out here as we navigate Season 2 of the Indy NXT Road Series.
Enjoy, guys. Enjoy. Have a good one.
You as well. And that'll do it for Gregory Kohler here from St. Petersburg. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the first race of Season 2 in the Indy NXT Road Series. We'll be back next week from Barber Motorsports Park. Charlotte's Web will strike. It's a matter of when, not if, and that'll be another tricky track for the Indy NXT Series drivers to take on. We'll catch you there or any other coverage we have here on P1 Broadcasting. Obviously, we've got the Road Series track guides. I host those if you need some help, maybe trying to learn these tracks, get a bit more comfortable in this IL-15 machine. I'd like to think I do a decent job of getting people at a reasonable speed in that car. Certainly reach out in the IndyCar Community Discord, wherever you can find a link for that. And we'll thank all those that do the difficult jobs all around the world that allow us to bring you the wonderful coverage we do here of the Indy NXT Road and Oval Series, amongst other things here on P1 Broadcasting. Have a good night, everybody. We will catch you whenever we catch you next time. Have a good night.